It's baffled scholars for 2 millennia. It is a puzzle made of multi-dimensional elements, an enigma with roots that reach back to the dawning of time, perhaps before. Daniel explained part of it. Ezekiel and Isaiah had glimpses into it. John saw it all for the time of the end. That time is now. Join Derek and Sharon Gilbert on a journey that spans the course of history, from Eden to Mount Hermon, from Hermon to Babel, from Babel to Rome, from Rome to the cross, and from there to us. Biblical prophecy is coming true before your eyes, and to understand it, you must discern the times both then and now. It's time to unravel the threads of this all-encompassing prophetic paradox. It's time to unravel Revelation.
The opening of the 7th seal. Welcome to Unraveling Revelation from Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert, and we are delighted. Well, we're back in studio. Studio G was all last week, but we're back in the official. But soon, we're going to be in the brand new one.
Yes. I think just weeks away.
So excited about that.
What a blessing. What a blessing.
I know. The Lord is really, really good to us. We have been here for over 5 years. We've been recording Sci Fridays for nearly 5 years. In August, it'll be, which is next month. That's coming up in a couple
Very
weeks.
soon, yes.
5-year anniversary. We've been doing this for a year now.
Yeah. So it will, well, again, just excited to see where God is going to lead this ministry, this mission over the months and years ahead. But He has opened doors to provide facilities for us that literally came available to Tom Horn for pennies on the dollar.
Oh,
yeah.
Literally pennies on the dollar. It was so inexpensive. It was a place that you'd look at. You've heard the story before. Forgive me. We tend to rabbit trail and retell them again.
We're at that age.
Yeah. Who are you again? But Tom had previously bid on it or tried to talk the owner into letting him buy it for a certain price, which was a really good price. And the owner said, nah, I don't want that. Want more. And it ended up going to auction for so little, so Tom.
The starting bid was very low, and they didn't get any offers on the starting bid, so that kind of established the market.
You want to talk to me now, Tom says?
So cash on the barrelhead, as is where is, and so it's been an amazing journey. So, but speaking of amazing journeys, the book of Revelation now, we're getting to really the exciting stuff, Revelation 8 and 9, where things really start to heat up.
Oh my gosh.
This is one of the things that I've really come to believe here in recent years, and especially as we've researched with an eye on the divine counsel approach to understanding the scriptures, that there are other supernatural entities at work behind the scenes that we haven't been taught in church growing up. Okay, Satan exists and demons are real, but other than that, it's kind of like, but when you see that the watchers of Genesis 6 are real, and then you've got these other entities, these other fallen angels, watcher class angels that God placed over the nations, after the Tower of Babel incident, recounted in Deuteronomy 4, 19 and 20, God allotted them to the nations for their gods. Deuteronomy 32, verses 8 and 9, when He numbered the nations, He divided the nations, numbered them according to the number of the sons of God. It's like, wow, okay, so there are more entities out there. Now, wait a minute, what about these prophesied entities, these angels, these stars, these burning mountains that we're dealing with here? And we're getting into all of that right here. So I think this is going to make this even more interesting and intriguing than I think what we've had in the past. Because I think Bible prophecy teachers to this point have tended to look for natural manifestations or explanations for the things that were prophesied in Revelation. And I understand that because we will be affected by what affects us in the natural realm. But
as we near His return, which could be today, I believe it is very, very near, we are finding that what's in here makes sense in the natural realm. Not only that we're understanding the spirits behind it, the supernatural realm, but we're also seeing there are some things that, okay, I can see how that would happen in our day and age.
So, and knowledge increasing too. We get back to the
That's
prophecy
what I mean.
of Daniel that
people going to and fro, knowledge increasing, it all makes sense.
In lots of ways. Knowledge not only of the scientific world and the realm around it, the physical realm, but understandings of Scripture and of prophecy that are coming open and available to us now as archaeologists find things that relate to what we're discussing.
That's, I think, one of the biggest changes we've had. The science of archaeology didn't really begin until about 250 years ago.
Yeah.
So they were originally called antiquarians.
Right.
The antiquarians were mainly some professors, but a lot of them were theologians, pastors, and priests.
Going into the field with a Bible in one hand and a shovel in the other.
Exactly.
Right.
And they had to wait, frankly, until there was a safety issue, because the Ottoman Empire didn't want to let Westerners in for a long, long time.
Right. There was a window then that developed toward the end of the Ottoman Empire, which was the latter part of the 19th century, early 20th. Of course, it collapsed in 1922, finally, but it was really done by the end of World War I for all intents and purposes. But as things have heated up again in the Middle East with the rise of violent Islam, a lot of the sites that would be available to researchers have been shut off basically since about 2009, 2010. The civil war in Syria has cut off access to a lot of important sites. The danger in Iraq has likewise cut off access to archaeologists. And I think that may be the enemy trying to obscure things from us. But even with that, there are things that have been published here within the last 10, 20 years that have helped make sense out of so many things, because those important papers connecting the old gods of the Amorites, the old sages of Mesopotamia, the Apkallu, to the Watchers of the Hebrew Bible, those things have only been published in the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's very true. And you said that maybe the enemy was trying to keep us from getting access. I agree with that. But I think it's also that the enemy is trying to get everything ready.
Yeah.
The enemy knows he's about to get here.
Exactly, exactly. Well, let's dive in. Revelation chapter 8. When the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour.
This is a big deal. This is a big deal. There is no, whether you believe that the rapture begins when John is called up, or you believe that the rapture, and again, we're pre-trib. We don't believe that first day of the final 7 years of Daniel's 70-year prophecy, 70-week prophecy. We don't believe that begins until after the church is gone. At the very least, we're not appointed to rest. So at least we're gone by the middle of it. But we personally believe we're gone before day one begins. But whether you believe it was John's being called up, or that it occurs during the earthquake resurrection, that those millions and millions of people of every tribe, nation, and tongue that arrive, the fact is that after these things, there is silence in heaven, because something major is about to begin.
Yeah. I mean, even the praise of the living creatures, the cherubim and the elders around the throne.
Everything stops.
Everything stops.
Imagine we will be there when silence in heaven begins in half an hour. You know, that could be a long time. What we call half an hour could be a long time.
Yes, because you're dealing with a different time scale when you're in the heavenly realm. Now, this is really interesting. Verse 2, then I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and 7 trumpets were given to them.
Who are the 7 angels who stand before God?
That's a really good question. They could be the 7 archangels in Jewish religious tradition.
And do you know there's a fallen realm version of this?
Really?
I believe that's the Apkallu.
Oh, yes, the 7 burning mountains in 1st Enoch. Well, in fact, I was going to go to 1st Enoch because that's where we find the names of the 7 archangels.
Carry on.
The 7 archangels: Uriel, one of the holy angels who was in charge of the world and Tartarus, the abyss, which will open in Revelation 9. Raphael, which means either healer of God, but I also think Rapha, based on an older Akkadian word, as we researched the Rephaim for our book Veneration, an Akkadian term, root word, meaning the great ones or the mighty ones. So the strong one of God, Raphael, one of the holy angels who was in charge of the spirits of men. Reuel, R-E-U-E-L, one of the holy angels who was in charge of the spirits of men. I'm sorry, I repeated myself. One of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of the luminaries.
The world of the luminaries?
Yes.
What is that?
I'd have to I should have
Luminaries.
brought up my
Should have had
commentary.
The Heiser commentary.
Well, yes, that's right. And by the way, when we're referencing First Enoch here, that's what Mike Heiser's book would be really, really helpful for. The world of the luminaries. Michael, Michael, one of the holy angels, who has been put in charge of the good ones of the people. Of course, Michael, we know, is the one who is Israel's defender.
Yes.
And he's the only one who's mentioned in Revelation. This is, again, First Enoch is coming from Jewish tradition. Sariel, one of the holy angels, who is in charge of the spirits who sin against the Spirit. And bringing up Gabriel now. Gabriel, one of the holy angels, who is in charge of paradise and the serpents and the cherubim. Now, serpents, since this was probably translated from a Greek text or maybe Coptic texts, could be based on an older Hebrew, Nakash.
Yes, the Nakashim.
Or possibly even Tenanim, dragons. Don't know.
Look, understand that the fallen realm, the entities that we call fallen angels or the demons who were spawned by them, they were in heaven, if you want to call that realm heaven, before they fell. Therefore, there are dragons there. They are, I think there are a lot of types of creatures, created beings who live around the throne. He made an entire realm of interesting, multi-dimensional, multifaceted, with lots of jobs.
And we see that there are a lot of creatures in that realm that we, in English, using the word angel to sort of describe them all, we kind of flatten that realm down to 2 dimensions.
Boy, howdy do we.
Because we've got the cherubim and the seraphim, who may be, or at least fulfill a similar role as throne guardians of God.
And they're Ophanim?
The Ophanim, which are the wheels that within wheels, the living creatures with the eyes all around. Malachim, who are the messenger angels. The archangels, who are depicted as men, because we see Gabriel in the Old Testament interacting with Daniel and also with Mary. Michael, who contends with Satan for the body of Moses, and then also goes to war with Satan in Revelation 12. So you've got all of those. But then you've also got, we had stumbled onto this, the reshephim, which we've talked about in this study in the past, perhaps a class of warrior angel, as described in Psalm 78, I want to say.
Might be Nakashim. If the Nakash was a type of...
Right. And so we've got a lot of different things. And one of the things that we also found out is that there's at least one scholar who's a respected scholar of the ancient Hebrew and also ancient Ugaritic, which is a Semitic language very similar to Hebrew, where he believes that the word seraph or seraphim in Hebrew is not based on the Hebrew word seraph, meaning burning, like burning ones, but from an Egyptian loan word, because it shows up only in the book of Isaiah, which was a time when Hezekiah was trying to make nice with the Pharaoh because he wanted allies against Assyria, that it was an Egyptian word that means griffin. And when we look at the older depictions of dragons, in fact, I go into this in my presentation for the Defender Conference, when you look at the older depictions of dragons in Mesopotamia, they are often depicted as looking like griffins. They've got the eagle's talons, they've got the body of a lion and a serpentine head, or a falcon's head, but this lion, eagle, serpent combination fits together in the depictions of dragons in the ancient world. And that will be important when we get to Revelation 13.
Oh, yeah. So these angels are standing.
And the seventh angel, by the way, Remiel, one of the holy angels whom God has put in charge of them that rise. And again, what exactly does that mean?
Well, I don't know if this is what it means, but humans get to be resurrected. The demons, Rephaim, do not.
Right. We see that in Isaiah 26. They are dead. They will not live. They are shades, is how it's translated in the Bible, in English, but they are Rephaim. They will not arise. So, and I think that's what also Ezekiel meant in Ezekiel 39:11. It will block the travelers being a term for those spirits that travel or cross over from the land of the dead to the realm of the living. So anyway, we've got these 7 angels here. Those are the 7 archangels. There's also a reference to this in one of the apocryphal books, Tobit, which mentions Raphael said, I am one of the 7 angels who stand ready and enter before the glory of the Lord. So there's that tradition in ancient Jewish religious thought of these 7 archangels or 7 angels who are principally before God.
Wow.
And each of them have their own responsibility.
Well, and they don't normally have a trumpet.
No, that is true.
Because they receive them.
Yes. Well, the trumpets were given to them, and another angel came and stood at the altar with a golden censer, that's C-E-N-S-E-R, and he was given much incense to offer with the prayers of all the saints on the golden altar before the throne. This is a wonderful verse. You've talked about this before. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the saints rose before God from the hand of the angel.
I do love that. I do love that. And remember what we saw previously, that there are those beneath the altar. I believe that they are joined by those who are raptured.
Mm-hmm.
But previously we saw the 5th seal, I think. It's the souls beneath the altar. This is taken from their prayers and the prayers of those who are on earth at the time. They are getting their answer to their prayer at long last, and he uses the very altar to do it.
That is an amazing thing.
Boy,
well,
howdy.
We're going to get to the
time.
first trumpet here in a minute, and I guess we're going to get back to one of those classes of angels that we talked about. Yeah. So fascinating stuff. We love this study. We hope you're enjoying it as well and getting something from it. Stick with us, because Unraveling Revelation continues in just a minute.
Millions of Americans are suffering a health crisis epidemic right now completely unnecessarily. But what if I told you it didn't have to be this way? The truth for many is that the real culprit of modern disease is simply a lack of God-given knowledge. In Unlocking Eden, we provide hopeful, scientifically supported revelations regarding how you can access freedom from the bondages of disease. Skywatch TV is proud to announce the Unlocking Eden Special Collection. From the importance of detoxification, circadian rhythm, intermittent fasting, and unburdening metabolic pathways to maximizing immunity, methylation, and absolute essentials like quality sleep, Unlocking Eden is filled cover to cover with groundbreaking information that can help unlock the body's natural healing mechanisms, which can revolutionize your health and your life. In this incredible special collection from Skywatch TV, you'll also receive the Unlocking Eden Companion DVD, featuring the entire 4-week television series on Unlocking Eden and special content with my co-author Daniel Belt and I on securing some of nature's most powerful antiviral nutrition during seasons of virus, flu, and so much more. We're also including the never-before-released special edition Eden's Essentials publication featuring special reports on gut health, chronic pain and sleep management, fermented foods, and so much more. And because we want to provide you with every tool possible to achieve optimal wellness, we're including for the first time ever, absolutely free, the international best-selling book Time Bomb with companion DVD. This unprecedented, groundbreaking combination reveals how to easily read food labels to avoid toxic ingredients like GMOs, pesticides, and other biosediments, what leaky gut syndrome is and how to reverse it, what neuroscience says about the miraculous gut-brain connection, and more. Featuring healthcare professionals like Dr. Ralph Umbriaco, Dr. Joshua Vance, and Dr. Matthew Sams on how to achieve your optimal physiological health. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of over $150. Yours now for a donation of only $35 plus shipping and handling. So revolutionize your health, maximize your immunity, and restore your vitality. The Unlocking Eden Special Collection, available now at the Skywatch TV store online. Order now or call 1-844-750-4985.
Welcome back to Unraveling Revelation from Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert, and we hope that you can join us in Israel next year. It is going to be an incredible, incredible journey. We're going to see so many archaeological sites. So just pray that the Lord will allow us to go. We pray you get to go. Go to skywatchinisrael.com to learn more.
Oh, yes, the stones cry out.
They do. They really do.
And please take advantage of this year's Defender Conference because of COVID-19. It will be virtual, but we're adding all of the presentations from last year's conference to it as well. So it's 2 conferences for the price of one. And we've added additional speakers. that had not been scheduled because they couldn't travel to us. Joel Richardson, New York Times bestselling author. Steve Quayle will be part of this. And we've also got presentations now from Jonathan Cahn. Pat Boone is
Oh, I know.
contributed a presentation.
I love Pat Boone.
Yeah.
Just love him.
Not to name drop, but he actually called my phone the other night. It's like,
Pat Boone!
Pat Boone! So yeah, he couldn't get a hold of Tom on the phone. So
So you're like, Tom Light?
yeah, exactly. Pass a message out, but that's okay. We had a great conversation.
Oh, I know.
So anyway, continuing now in Revelation chapter 8, the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the saints rose before God from the hand of the angel. In verse 5, then the angel took the censer and filled it with fire from the altar and threw it on the earth. And there were peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake.
Another earthquake. I know that there are a lot of individuals who have been taught that the first half of the tribulation period, that final 7 years of Daniel's prophecy, that it's peaceful. There is nothing in the Bible to say this is peaceful. I think it is that is inferred from the text in Daniel where it talks about making a covenant for 7 years.
Yes, a covenant with many.
And then at some point, midpoint probably, halfway through, 3.5 years in, that the sacrifices are stopped, which implies that there had been sacrifices taking place. There's nothing in there, though, that implies that it's a peaceful earth.
Right.
That it's not having all sorts of meteorological events taking place, or volcanoes, or earthquakes. I would say if David W. Lowe is correct, it will be an earth that has to be rebuilt.
Yep.
Reset.
Yeah.
The great reset.
Yes. The World Economic Forum already calling for that. Well, there is, and certainly I think from the standpoint of Christians outside the United States, where United States, Canada, here in the Western Hemisphere, we really had a period of freedom to worship God that has not been common amongst our fellows in many parts of the world.
No.
So especially when you get into the Middle East after the 7th century and the rise of Islam, and in the East now in China, it's very difficult for them as well. So I think we're seeing parts of the world that have been tribulated for a long, long time already. Now, verse 6, now we start getting into this. Now the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared to blow them. The first angel blew his trumpet, and there followed hail and fire mixed with blood, and these were thrown upon the earth. And a third of the earth was burned up, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up.
Now, this sounds like some sort of near-Earth object.
It does.
Passing by,
It
perhaps?
does. Some sort of odd meteorological events, hail and fire. You're thinking, okay, how can a flaming fire? Well, fire can also refer to lightning. So massive storms. I think people with a naturalist and perhaps skeptical worldview might say, well, sure, climate change, that's what's going to cause all this. But this hail and fire mixed with blood was actually, this echoes the plague of hail and fire in Egypt that God sent as one of the plagues to free his people.
Tom Horn has been making that case for a while, that what we see in the book of Revelation is very similar to the judgments that God was enacting just prior to the Exodus. I would say, and I think you'll agree with me, that this is storm god language.
Well, it's storm god language, but it's even more than that, because I think there are more entities involved there.
Well, yes, that's my point.
Right.
It's as in Egypt, where he was judging the gods of Egypt.
Yes.
He is doing the same here.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. The storm god was Baal in the ancient world, or Hadad. But as we pointed out before, when the Israelites entered Egypt, Joseph, then followed by Jacob and Joseph's brothers, it was under the control of Amorites at that period, called Hyksos. And the Hyksos worshipped Baal, who they identified with the Egyptian god of storms and chaos, Set. And he was worshipped for hundreds of years in Egypt. So he was the king of the pantheon of the rulers of northern Egypt while the Israelites were there. So this makes sense. Even down to the time of Ramses the Great, 200 years after the Exodus, he was still venerating Baal Set. He established a stela to his father, who was named Seti the First, man of Set.
Yes.
So
Seti.
yeah.
Search for extraterrestrial
Right. Yes.
intelligence.
Isn't that interesting? Yes. So this, in Exodus 9, verses 22 through 25, we see this plague, hail in the land of Egypt, so that every man and beast, every plant of the field, it was hail and fire flashing continually in the midst of the hail, very heavy hail, such had never been seen in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. But the interesting thing that we discovered as we began to research and go through our weekly Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship, gilberthouse.org, that hail and fire in Psalm 78, which recounts the incident, are known entities, deities,
Yes.
in the Canaanite pantheon.
Yes.
And here's the thing, Psalm 78, beginning at verse 46, he gave their crops to the destroying locust and the fruit of their labor to the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail and their sycamores with frost. Hail there is Barad. And Barad is a known entity that's attested in other places in the ancient Near East. 1,000 years before the Exodus, he was mentioned in those texts from the ancient Syrian city of Ebla. Scholars said the rough translation of the name Barad is big chill.
Oh. Okay.
He was a known entity. And when you didn't want him coming around because he would destroy your crops and possibly destroy your livestock, as happened in Egypt. So Barad destroyed their vines with Barad. God sent Barad to destroy as a punishment. It's like, okay, see if your storm god can protect you from this. Then in verse 48, he gave over their cattle to the hail and their flocks to thunderbolts. And the word translated thunderbolts is that word we mentioned earlier, reshephim. The class of angel, the idea being that a plague deity, Resheph, would spread his plagues with arrows like lightning because they're hot, and fever from the plague. But here's the thing, verse 49 is the supporting evidence. He let loose on them his burning anger, wrath, indignation, and distress, a company of destroying angels.
Oh.
Barad and the Reshephim, destroying angels.
Now, I would argue that these 7 angels are maybe in charge of a whole lot of angels like that, entities. But these trumpets, as we study them, a trumpet is a warning blast.
Yes.
These are warning the people of the earth. Get away from these fallen angels. Stop worshiping these demons. Get out of the way because I'm going to judge them.
Yes.
Don't be judged along with them.
Exactly right. And again, as we continue through the opening of these seals, the blast of the trumpets, we will see that there are more destroying angels that are being let loose. So when it says hail, when it says fire, when it says burning mountains, flaming stars, think supernatural entities.
Yes.
Well, thank you for watching. This is Unraveling Revelation from Skywatch TV.